Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we're diving into some fascinating stories from around the world. First up, Canada is making waves with a new initiative, using a nifty app called Canoo to help newcomers explore cultural sites and parks, fostering a true sense of belonging. Imagine a software engineer from the Dominican Republic discovering Canada's rich history on a road trip. It's all about making immigrants feel connected and at home. Next, we look at the surprising decline in Indian students heading to Canada for studies. Due to stricter visa policies and increased costs, many are now choosing countries like Australia, Ireland, and Germany for their education and post-study work opportunities. Canadian universities, especially in Waterloo, are feeling the pinch with fewer international students and adjusting their focus accordingly. Finally, we turn to the brave volunteers from Hong Kong who lost their lives fighting in Ukraine. The Hong Kong authorities are actively helping their families, showing the remarkable courage of these young individuals. Their stories remind us of the global reach of immigration and the extraordinary sacrifices made in conflict zones. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed stories. The Toronto Star vividly captures Canada's innovative approach to fostering a sense of belonging among newcomers, highlighting experiences like Eduardo Santana's road trip along the East Coast. Santana, a software engineer from the Dominican Republic, discovered a potato museum in Prince Edward Island, which became a symbol of his connection to the land and its rich history. This journey, facilitated by the Canoo app, a platform offering free access to cultural sites and parks, illustrates how immersive local experiences can ignite newcomers' love for their new home. Experts emphasize that feelings of inclusion and optimism are crucial for retention, with tools like Canoo helping newcomers feel more connected and confident about their future in Canada, thereby encouraging them to settle long-term. The Toronto Star also sheds light on the shifting landscape of international student mobility, particularly from India, where the number of students choosing Canada has plummeted. Once a top destination, Canada's appeal has waned as students face increased costs, stricter visa caps, and more attractive alternatives like Australia, Ireland, and European countries. The decline is stark. Approvals for Indian study permits have dropped from nearly 77,000 to under 10,000 in just a year, reflecting broader concerns over affordability, visa policies, and the changing priorities of students who now prioritize post-graduation work opportunities. Universities such as Waterloo and Conestoga are experiencing significant drops in international enrollment, especially at the undergraduate level, as students turn their attention to countries offering more predictable pathways and better post-study prospects. South China Morning Post reports on the tragic death of 2 Hong Kongers volunteering in Ukraine, illustrating a different facet of international engagement. The authorities are actively supporting the families and investigating the incident, which involved young volunteers reportedly killed by Russian attacks during their first mission. The Hong Kong Immigration Department has been diligent in following up on requests for assistance, coordinating with Chinese and Ukrainian officials to provide support. This incident underscores the risks faced by individuals engaging in international conflicts, and the ongoing concern about Hong Kongers' involvement abroad, especially in volatile regions like Ukraine. The story highlights the complex realities of global activism and the importance of government support in times of crisis. The Independent highlights the story of Alyssa Bolanos, a Cuban-American who emigrated from New York to Uruguay with her family, driven by her disillusionment with the increasing violence, divisiveness, and political instability in the United States. Bolanos, who previously worked in immigration, describes her experience of witnessing the stark contrast between her new life in Uruguay, where healthcare is accessible, neighbors are friendly, and children are safe, and her memories of the U.S.'s gun violence and polarized media environment. She and her family sold their possessions, enrolled their children in a traveling world schooling program, and now plan to stay abroad permanently, feeling that the American dream has shifted into a nightmare for many. Her social media posts reveal a growing community of Americans and foreigners alike contemplating or executing plans to leave the U.S., citing concerns over safety, political chaos, and declining quality of life. The phrase, "the new American dream is leaving America," resonates deeply among her followers, reflecting a broader trend of mass expatriation fueled by fears of an unstable future. BBC reports on the economic and social ripple effects of the U.S.'s hardline immigration policies under Trump, which have not only deterred undocumented migrants like Elias Padilla from attempting to reach the U.S. but have also paradoxically increased remittances sent home from those already in the country. Despite the crackdown, Hondurans and other Central Americans are sending record amounts of money back to their families, often in greater urgency due to fears of detention and deportation. Meanwhile, the illegal smuggling industry has become more expensive and dangerous, with prices doubling as fewer migrants attempt the perilous journey. These policies have also led to a significant brain drain, with American researchers, scientists, and students considering or actively seeking opportunities abroad, especially in Europe and Canada, as they face funding cuts and political hostility. The trend is further amplified by the rise of social media communities like Reddit's r/Exit, where skilled professionals plan their departures for countries like Portugal, Greece, and France, seeking stability and safety outside the U.S. Yahoo US discusses the political upheavals and local scandals that marked 2025, including the discovery of Jesse Farber's remains after a decade-long search, and the arrest of a Pottsville man by ICE, reflecting ongoing tensions around immigration enforcement. The report also covers the fallout from a violent explosion at a local chapel in Manoy City, which was caused by an arsonist, and the financial mismanagement uncovered in Shenandoah, where forensic audits reveal misappropriation of funds and irregularities by former officials. The year was also marked by the firing of a police officer in Pottsville accused of assault and harassment, illustrating persistent issues within local law enforcement. These stories depict a nation grappling with unresolved tragedies, economic instability, and political controversies, underscoring a turbulent year shaped by social divisions, financial scandals, and a growing exodus of its most talented and ambitious citizens seeking better opportunities elsewhere. From a sinking island, the Tuvaluan family story, as reported by Nikkei Film, paints a poignant picture of a nation teetering on the brink of disappearance due to climate change. With its land barely above sea level, Tuvalu faces an existential threat, projected to lose up to 95% of its territory by 2100. In this bleak landscape, a new treaty with Australia offers a lifeline, providing pathways for Tuvaluans to seek permanent residency and escape the rising waters. Yet, beneath this pragmatic solution lies a complex geopolitical chess game, with China's expanding influence in the South Pacific prompting Australia to tighten security ties through clauses requiring consultation before forming new alliances. As Tuvaluans grapple with the fear of losing their homeland and the reality of a potential brain drain, families like that of a young man preparing to relocate embody the hopes and fears of an entire nation, caught between environmental catastrophe and geopolitical strategy. The Toronto Star offers a heartwarming contrast through the story of Eva Chandler, a dedicated volunteer whose decades-long commitment to the Santa Claus Fund embodies community kindness and resilience. Chandler's joyful involvement in delivering holiday gift boxes to children in need across Toronto highlights the power of small acts of generosity to forge lasting bonds. From her unexpected invitation to a baby shower to her routine of organizing gift deliveries, her story illustrates how volunteerism can create a ripple effect of compassion, fostering a sense of belonging and hope during the festive season. Chandler's personal anecdotes, such as her encounters with families who have grown up and moved on, reveal that these acts of kindness extend beyond the holiday spirit, nurturing a community where empathy and support flourish, making the season brighter for thousands of vulnerable children and their families. In stark contrast, the tragic narrative from Wichita Falls, as detailed by Yahoo US, shatters the holiday cheer with a violent crime that turned Christmas into a scene of horror. Early on Christmas morning, a drinking coworker, Heber Giovanni Zelaya Reyes, allegedly shot and killed a fellow worker after hours of intoxication and reckless behavior. Court records depict a disturbing sequence of events, drunken threats, joking about violence, and a fatal shooting that left a man dead on a porch. The incident escalated quickly, with Zelaya Reyes reportedly pointing a gun at others, firing shots, and attempting to shoot his boss before being detained by police. As investigations continue, this tragedy underscores the darker side of holiday celebrations, reminding us of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences when violence erupts in moments meant for joy and family. CNN reports that in 2025, Donald Trump's relentless pattern of lying persisted, with the number of new falsehoods decreasing but his reliance on a core set of familiar fabrications becoming even more pronounced. His claims about securing trillions of dollars in investments, the state of inflation, and the supposed reduction of wars were repeated ad nauseum, despite being thoroughly debunked. For example, Trump repeatedly exaggerated the amount of foreign investment he secured, claiming figures like $17 or $18 trillion, numbers that even his own administration's website contradicted. He also insisted that prices were falling across the board, despite clear evidence of rising costs, and boasted about ending multiple wars that, in reality, continued or were misrepresented in scope. His falsehoods extended into foreign policy, claiming that Ukraine started Russia's invasion and that he could end the Ukraine conflict within 24 hours, despite the fact that these assertions were factually inaccurate and contradicted by the actual course of events. The Toronto Star highlights a significant legal development involving Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran man who was mistakenly deported during the Trump administration. The case has become a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over immigration policy, with a federal judge canceling Garcia's trial and scheduling a hearing to determine whether the prosecution is driven by vindictive motives. Abrego Garcia, who faced deportation despite having legal protections due to threats from gangs in El Salvador, denies the allegations of human smuggling and claims he is being targeted unfairly. The case underscores the contentious and often opaque nature of immigration enforcement during Trump's presidency, especially when deportations are carried out under questionable circumstances, raising questions about the fairness and motivations behind such prosecutions. The BBC reports that Boxing Day shopping in 2025 has once again disappointed retailers, as consumers continue to favor online shopping over traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Foot traffic on UK high streets and shopping centres declined compared to previous years, with overall spending forecasted to be significantly lower than in 2024. Despite some growth in retail park visits, the overall picture is one of caution, with shoppers spending less and planning to allocate higher budgets but still spending less overall. The subdued atmosphere is attributed to ongoing economic pressures, including high inflation, increased taxes, and a cautious consumer mindset shaped by an uncertain financial outlook. Major stores like Next and John Lewis closed their doors for Boxing Day, highlighting the shift in shopping habits and the diminished importance of the sales event that once marked the post-Christmas retail frenzy. The Associated Press reports a compelling story from Caracas, Venezuela, where a group of Venezuelan men, recently transferred to El Salvador after being detained in the United States, are demanding justice. These men, who were flown to El Salvador in March and later sent back to Venezuela in July as part of a prisoner swap, are asserting their innocence and recounting the brutal torture they endured in a Salvadoran prison. Their legal battle gained momentum when a U.S. federal judge ordered the government to provide them with due process, challenging the Trump administration's claims that they are gang members subject to deportation under outdated wartime laws. Venezuelan officials, including Vice Minister Camila Fabri, are mobilizing international legal support, preparing a lawsuit against the U.S. government for alleged human rights violations, as the men's testimonies highlight their ongoing fears, trauma, and distrust towards the authorities, emphasizing their hope for justice and accountability on a global stage. Meanwhile, Yahoo reports a controversial development in the U.S. regarding the filming of immigration raids. U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino's return to Chicago with a film crew has reignited criticism from local officials, who accuse federal agents of turning immigration enforcement into political spectacle and traumatizing families through indiscriminate arrests and public filming. This tactic aligns with broader efforts by the Department of Homeland Security under Trump, which has increasingly used media to promote its immigration policies, often at the expense of transparency and accountability. Adding to the controversy, the Justice Department has issued a memo suggesting that recording immigration operations could be classified as domestic terrorism, a move critics say dangerously broadens the definition of threatening behavior and threatens free speech. This policy risks criminalizing ordinary citizens and media alike for documenting law enforcement activities, raising alarms about the suppression of accountability and the potential misuse of terrorism laws to stifle dissent. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.